Korra, you've transformed the world more in a few years than most avatars did during their lifetimes.
But I feel like I've only just begun. There's so much more I want to learn and do. It's been a bit of a bumpy ride, huh?
I've come to realize life is one big, bumpy ride.
I know I was in a pretty dark place after I was poisoned. But I finally understand why I had to go through all that. I needed to understand what true suffering was, so I could become more compassionate to others.
If you love the Avatar universe just as I do, you might have noticed that Korra becomes the target of unjustified criticism. That she's not a good avatar, not a good person, not a good character. The amount of hate Korra and her show gets is insane, but all of that is simply not true. I think what people need to understand is the fact that all the issues this show has comes not from the writing, but from Nickelodeon's pressure. If the creators had been given more time to create, public reaction would have been completely different. To understand why Korra turned out to be the way it is, every viewer has to know that it was originally planned to be just one season. This whole story of Korra against Amon in Republic City, with this ending, that was intended to be a complete story. But as soon as the first episode got leaked, community loved it. Nickelodeon saw the reaction and greenlit the second season, even though writers finished the story. So they continued finished story with the idea of finishing it second time. Fast forward to mid-development of season 2. Nickelodeon again announced that Legend of Korra is going to have third and fourth season. Besides that, the original animation crew was unavailable due to the unexpected sequel, leaving the second season's visuals noticeably different. And it turned out to be the weakest one among all 7 seasons of Avatar franchise. And even with great writing of season 3 and 4, Nickelodeon still sabotaged the project with budget cut, lackluster promotion, messed up episode releases, and then just moving everything from network to their website, which at the time just killed the ratings. And all of that happened in the span of 2 years, from 2012 to 2014. 2 years. In 2 years, 4 seasons were conceptualized, written, animated, and voiced. For perspective, consider Invincible, one of the top animated series today, which took 3 years to produce just 2 seasons, totaling 16 episodes or 800 minutes, while Korra gave us 1248 minutes of animation in 2 years. And Invincible is just adapting already existing story. They just have to animate and voice it. And it's not like Invincible's animation is on some crazy Spider-Verse level. No, most of the time it's just lazy and really simple, while Korra gives us way more visually appealing scenes. Long story short, you can tell Brian Konietzko and Michael Dante DiMartino didn't have the luxury of time to create a better story. It's not like Nickelodeon's sabotage was enough, they also had to release new seasons quickly. That's why I believe Legend of Korra lacks deep character developments, like the one of Zuko from The Last Airbender. That's why some events feel rushed, preventing audiences from immersing fully in the narrative alongside the characters. So, for all the flaws of The Legend of Korra, we should blame Nickelodeon, not the writers, creators, voice actors, or animators. Nickelodeon. But even with all these problems, the show still turned out to be great. Consider the Rotten Tomatoes ratings. The first season stands tall at 91%, and while the second season dipped to 67%, again because continuing finished story, seasons 3 and 4 got 100% each, just as all 3 seasons of The Last Airbender. Can you believe that? Against all odds, they made 2 perfect seasons. And if you think about that, The Legend of Korra never fails to show great fighting scenes with peak choreography, the bending styles, combat. Look at Korra versus Zahir flying, you can feel the acceleration, air drag. Look at Soyun versus Kuvira, how fluid and beautiful their movements are. You can say she's daughter of the greatest earthbender. Or Korra versus Kuvira, You can feel weight of each punch. Or every Red Lotus action scenes. Just by the way they destroy everyone, you can tell they are the biggest menace in the Avatar universe. But The Legend of Korra isn't just about the action. It also gives some of the most breathtaking visuals. From the serene air temples to the bustling Republic City, from the metallic sheen of Zaofu to the icy expansions of the poles, this world is stunning. And it was achieved despite a steadily shrinking budget. And even side characters. This is one of the few shows where you could watch two side characters talk without the main character and still be interested. Tenzin, Beifong sisters, Varric, Julie, and all the villains on Alaka side, each bring a compelling presence to the story. Another issue with the community's reception may stem from unrealistic expectations. After experiencing the masterpiece that is The Last Airbender, many expected to watch The Last Airbender 2. However, The Legend of Korra was never meant to be a mere sequel. It stands as its own entity. Just as no Avatar should repeat the other, they have different problems and they solve their problems differently. Also, The Legend of Korra has different formula of writing, 13 episodes per season, and creators clearly didn't want to repeat the success of Airbender. They just gave us continuation of the perfect series. We are revisiting the same universe, yet the world has evolved. So Korra's problems are different, because her environment is different. She is not Aang 2, nor should she be, just as Mako isn't Zuko 2, or Bolin isn't Sokka the Treecko. And that's okay. I believe that this was the best way to continue the series. Why would creators want to repeat what they already achieved? And all these changes, you know what? I think they feel natural. Consider this. Had the show been delayed for, say, a decade, releasing today, in a time when the nostalgia for the original series has sufficiently matured, and the so-called baby duck syndrome, the reluctance to embrace newness, has faded, perceptions of Korra would likely be far more positive. Picture what could have been if Nickelodeon had given the creators several years per season for development. Even richer character arcs, more nuanced relationships, and better foreshadowing. But even without all the obstacles I mentioned in the video, the show remains a standout experience. If you last watched it a decade ago as a child, I urge you to watch it again now with fresh eyes. Give it the chance it deserves, and you may find that Korra is far from the disappointment some have made it out to be. And even better, if you haven't watched Korra at all because of these very same reactions, I recommend you set those aside and dive in. I admit, I myself avoided the show for years, fearing it was just another lackluster spin-off. However, to my delight, I discovered a show that stands strong on its own merits, and I loved it. Thank you for watching this video, and if it made you rethink your views about Korra, I wish you a pleasant watch or rewatch of The Legend of Korra. And remember, be a goldfish, be curious, and not judgmental.